Hey, hey, how's it going, Bryce?
Hey folks, happy Friday Eve.
I thought you were going to say Friday. I was like, Bryce, no, 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 it's Thursday.
Awkward turtle.
Oh my God, the other day, someone said Uncle Turtle, and I was like, ah, throwback. And then the other person in the conversation was like, what? And they had never heard. Guys, bring back the Awkward Turtle.
Yeah.
Late 2000s throwback. I love it. What a great way to
What our
start the
age.
show. Yeah. Okay, before we get started, I just wanted to shout out I'm wearing my Snazzy Keys hat because next week is FinOps X. So the FinOps conference, FinOps Foundation conference in San Diego. I am going. I'm not talking this year, but I'm going. And if you see me, come say hi. I'm going to try and get as many people in pictures with this hat on, and I'll be giving out stickers and absolutely would love to have a chat with anybody who's watching and wants to chat about optimization. We'll just have a chat. So come and say hi if you see me around the conference. So that was just a quick shout out. Let's just get into it. So welcome everyone to the Keys to AWS Optimization, the show where we share stories, concepts, and solutions to help you unlock your spend at AWS. My name is Stephanie Gooch, and I'm a senior solution architect in the Optics team, here to help you with all your optimization needs. As always, we've got a special guest with Bryce. Bryce is back, which is always fun. And today we're talking about GovCloud and how it's special. Now, this is a title that Bryce gave me, and I love the special part. So we're going to be diving into what is GovCloud if you're not used to using with it. I've never worked in GovCloud, so it's going to be education for me. And we're going to work out a little bit about kind of what's different about it, and also, of course, how you can optimize if you're a GovCloud user. Bryce, you want to quickly intro yourself to remind everyone who you are?
Absolutely. Hey folks, I'm a principal financial architect here with AWS. Short story, Steph and I actually used to work together on the same team as teammates supporting the customers there. And then I had the opportunity to go support our public sector customers. And that was my first introduction into GovCloud. And that's really how that idea got sparked for having a session with Steph and talking about how we can help y'all with your cloud financial management solutions inside of GovCloud. And so day to day, I support all of our three-letter agencies. I support research institutions, nonprofits, and so forth. And so they clearly have a need to operate in GovCloud. And I guess maybe that's the first lead off bat for us here, Steph, is to talk about what is GovCloud.
Yeah, let's give it a brief thing. And just as always, any questions, comments, pop them in the chat. We are here to help as much as we can. So yeah, Bryce, kick us off with what is GovCloud?
So GovCloud is AWS's option for customers that need to meet certain regulations from a regulatory perspective. And things could be, for example, if you need to meet FedRAMP compliance, or if you can have certain controls in place for your computing environment. AWS offers that solution as GovCloud to be able to meet those standards. It does have some additional security options that you can employ, but it still serves as a baseline from a security perspective that you would get even in the commercial sector, just with some additional controls that are going to be there. And it is completely separate. So it's completely air gap. It's its own data centers, separate from the AWS commercial regions. And what we mean by that is it has its own management console. So even if you want to log into quote unquote GovCloud, you have to set up your own management account inside of the GovCloud regions, which there's two. There's a GovCloud East and a GovCloud West, and they each have their own visibility zones.
Yeah, so I love how simple that is. There's East and there's West, and that's all you get.
Yeah, we like to keep things simple. And
the console, just jumping on that really quickly, like the console thing, I just don't think I'd ever really thought about it, that there's like a whole different place. So yeah, just jumping on that. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and even for how access is managed for GovCloud, it has its own IAM permissioning set. So you have to have someone who is a U.S. citizen on U.S. soil that is initially creates and responsible for that IAM permissioning. So even then, it can be much different even for how maybe a customer traditionally has managed their environment, even on the commercial side. So that's more of the underlying infrastructure differences. But with that breeds its own differences even in how you're going to manage costs at scale for your enterprise when you have to operate in both the commercial and the GovCloud side.
Yeah. Awesome. Just to, just to shout out some of the questions. Someone asked me, what's with all the blue today? And I was like, blue, but then I was like, oh, that makes me sound like I'm sad. I was saying I'm repping the show, Blues Our Color. I've got my FinOps Rising shirt, which is an OG CloudyCon FinOps shirt representative for FinOps X, and the hat. And now I put this hat on. I'm not taking it off because my hair will look ridiculous. Anyway, so let's keep going. So what's the kind of like, apart, obviously you've mentioned the main differences like the console and the east-west thing. Is there any other differences between the two, or do you want to dive into the optimization?
Yeah, so I would say even before we can really even get to the optimization part, we also need to understand how how it flows inside of GovCloud. So in GovCloud, when you deploy an account there, it is wholly separate from your commercial regions. And right. So the question then comes, well, how do you manage the cost, and where is cost represented for GovCloud? When you create a GovCloud account, and whether this is a management account or a linked account inside of that management account structure, it will create an associated commercial account to represent the cost for that GovCloud account. So what you're dealing with are two separate account IDs. You have one for GovCloud, and then you have the other for the commercial account. And when you incur cost in GovCloud, it will flow through to that commercial account. So if you go look at your invoice, or you go look at AWS organizations, or you go look in even Cost Explorer, what you will see are costs associated to the commercial account ID and not to the GovCloud account ID.
Interesting. I think that's especially important to know if anybody inherits GovCloud accounts. Like if anybody out there does any mergers or acquisitions, and for some reason your new kind of set of accounts has one, that's a good thing to know that that's in like a different place and can be quite confusing. Does the same kind of thing apply for any, you might not know this, Bryce, I realize, but like if you have things like SCPs or policies on the commercial account, does anything else go to that thing, or is it just cost?
It's just cost.
Just cost.
And when we say cost, what that also is going to imply are credits in your refunds. Those are issued to the commercial account that is directly linked to the GovCloud account. Now, the service control policies, the different things that you are managing on the commercial side in your AWS organizations, that is wholly separate from anything that's issued or managed on the GovCloud management side.
Right. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, separation. Yeah, sorry, continue.
And we won't necessarily go to it here in this, but to help illustrate how these are managed completely separate, is you could have multiple GovCloud management accounts, just like you would have multiple commercial payer accounts, right? That your organization, you can have multiple management accounts in GovCloud that you're also managing. And you can move those GovCloud accounts between those different management constructs, and it affects nothing on the billing side.
Oh, okay.
You can get really super complex into how you're needing to move and associate these different accounts, as well as you could also leave your GovCloud accounts in place and then move your associated commercial account in between payers or in between different OUs within the same payer, and it's not going to affect your GovCloud side.
Oh, wow. So there's some real like separation, connection, something that people need to be really aware of when they're setting these things up.
It's the matrix.
Yes.
Okay, so now that we have sort of a kind of a base layer understanding of how cost is represented, this now starts to affect how you can start optimization. And the very first part of that a lot of our customers jump feet first into is going to be savings plans and reserved instances.
Bryce, before we jump into the savings plans, sorry, I just want to grab this question because it's just related to what you were just talking about, which is from Rob, which is, does all billing data from all those GovCloud management accounts go to a single CUR associated with the commercial? So I assume it's like the same as it trickles back up to the original payer, right?
That's exactly it. So when you create your different GovCloud accounts, so again, understanding that you have a GovCloud management account, and then you will have multiple GovCloud linked accounts under that management account. Each of those accounts independently will have their own commercial account. So if those commercial accounts all are associated to just a single payer, then anything that you have in the GovCloud is all going to fold into just that single payer account. And that's how costs will be represented for the GovCloud side.
Cool. So the commercial account doesn't have to be a management account, does it?
No, it does not.
No.
It does not.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Questions? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Right. Sorry, Bryce. Cut you off. Savings plans. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So from a savings plan, we'll start on the easy side, and then we'll start to step into the more complex regions. So on the savings plan side, with a compute savings plan, in scenarios where you're not at all constrained or worried about where those benefits are flowing, if you purchase a compute savings plan at the payer account level on the commercial side, nothing changes for you. Because those GovCloud accounts are going to be rolling to the commercial side, and then again from a billing construct perspective, those savings plans are just going to look through and start applying where they can maximize the benefit. So no changes are affected there.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you go into an EC2 instance savings plan, there are two qualifications that you stipulate. You stipulate what region that you're going to consume in, and what instance family type that you're going to commit to.
Right.
And that's where our first concern pops up, is when you need to purchase a EC2 instance savings plan, if you want to restrict where that benefit flows in terms of which account and so forth, this is where you have to start identifying which commercial account is linked to which GovCloud account.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because this is where you're going to go into your billing console and set your billing preferences for RI and savings plan sharing. And when you say, move this commercial account over here to not share the benefit, make sure that you're grabbing the commercial account that represents that GovCloud account.
And so when, and this kind of links back to what we're talking about with like seeing the spend, what region does it appear in, like Cost Explorer?
It will say GovCloud. It will say GovCloud East or West.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Oh, Rob's got another question, so I'm going to bring him into the chat. Wait. If I buy savings plans in GovCloud member account, it might cover usage in my associated commercial account?
So and this is where we start working through the nuances of how this works, right? So you are correct in that if you buy a savings plan in a member GovCloud account, it's going to be represented as if you're buying a savings plan at a linked account level in your commercial side.
So hypothetically, if someone was to spin up an EC2 in the commercial account, it would get covered by the savings plan.
Well, and not to confuse it too much, in the commercial side, you would not deploy resources. So in the commercial account that is linked to your GovCloud account, no resources are deployed there.
Oh, you can't do it.
I don't know if you can. What we recommend is that you
recommend. Yeah.
This is because that way you keep it clean from your GovCloud side, right?
Yeah.
And so to Rob's point, right? If you're over here on the GovCloud side and you do have ability to purchase, well, okay, let me even back. Okay, so this is going to even for folks that are watching for the first time, right? We're going deep into this.
This is it. This is the type of vibe we want.
So functionally, the question is, how would you even purchase a savings plan? Functionally, how you purchase a savings plan is only through Cost Explorer. Cost Explorer is not available in GovCloud. So when you log into your GovCloud account, Cost Explorer is not an option. You have to access Cost Explorer. If you're wanting to do this at your GovCloud level, you have to go to the associated commercial ID. Then you can go into Cost Explorer on the commercial side, and that's where you would purchase a savings plan. So if you're wanting to restrict purchases, if you're wanting to have priority of a savings plan purchase at a linked account level for the associated consumption first in your GovCloud consumption, you would have to go to the commercial ID and purchase the savings plan in the commercial account. Then, to Rob's point, it operates in that any leftover benefit, as long as sharing is turned on, any leftover benefit is going to flow up to the payer level and then out to any other consumption as normal. Now, if it's a compute savings plan, that benefit's going to go consume anything it can after it's first being applied in that bank account construct. But if it's an EC2 instant savings plan that you purchase at the commercial side, then it's going to flow up to the payer, but then it's only going to be able to apply to, again, anything that you were wanting to cover in, let's say, GovCloud West or GovCloud East and so forth.
Yeah.
But that's how that would work, and that's how you could potentially have a purchase that was meant or intended for GovCloud that then rolls up to the payer because you've got sharing turned on, and it's going to go look at anywhere else in the commercial side to cover that.
Right, these nuances, very like, you weren't wrong with it being special. So I posted the link down there. So if you want to learn more of the documentation, then you can get onto it. Awesome. All right, let's go on to, so cover savings plans.
Real quick though.
One more thing.
So that's with savings plans. Reserved instances are different. Reserved instances you cannot purchase.
Of course.
And again, this has to do with functionally how this stuff works. With a reserved instance, you cannot purchase those inside of Cost Explorer. Okay, so the question is, where do you purchase a reserved instance? You purchase those like you would today inside of the EC2 console. So you log into AWS, you go to EC2 service, and then on the left-hand panels where you're going to see the option to purchase and manage your reserved instance fleet. Well, in commercial side, you don't have that option because when you need to log into the GovCloud region, you could only do that in a GovCloud account.
Right.
All right. So because again, when you purchase a reserved instance, you're logging in on the region, the instance type, the OS, as well as the tenancy of the purchase. So in a reserved instance, then in order to do that, you've got to log into the GovCloud side, go into the account that you want to purchase in, and then go to the EC2 console, and that's where you would actually make that reserved instance purchase. And you have to make sure that, again, you're logged in GovCloud East or you're logged in at GovCloud West. The reason for and the reason why I mention all this is we have customers that do have that challenge. Is they will log into the commercial side, they will purchase a reserved instance, but not because this is the other I'll use big air quotes, a feature of the reserved instance purchase. When you go through that purchase of reserved instance, you don't select the region because it's assuming the region that you want to purchase for is the region that you're selected into when you make the purchase. So folks will go into the commercial side, they'll make the purchase for a reserved instance, and then a couple of days later, they'll go into Cost Explorer, realize their utilization's at 0, and they're like, what happened? Well, it's because the purchase was made for Northern Virginia, for Oregon, whatever region they were logged into at the time, because they were not logged into the GovCloud region when they made that RI purchase.
Oh, okay. All right. Head is slightly spinning. But it's all good. I can rewatch this. And just to throw, what a good segue. You guys can rewatch it too. If you want to watch this on YouTube, Keys AWS Optimization. If you're already on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. There you go. That was top tier segues. All right, we've got one more question coming in, then we'll move on to another one. So, okay, this is a doozy from Rob. Are there a lot of government users who have concerns about logging onto or processing data from commercial accounts who feel that the CUR or I'm assuming that must be Cost Explorer. I'm not sure. Rob, what's CUI? More sensitive data, or who have access restricted for going into commercial accounts? So I'm guessing it's like, do you know of any of the customers you work with, if they do let people go into those accounts or don't?
So and what I'll help illustrate here is for those that may not be familiar with what the CUR, that is the cost and usage report. And this is think of it as a general ledger for all consumption inside of AWS. Now, the only thing that is written into the CUR file is information about what cost was incurred inside of AWS. So now the most sensitive thing that could be there is, for example, the resource ID that's there. That could technically be sensitive. But the only stuff that's written into the CUR is stuff that is used for billing purposes. So things that are not written there. You don't have user IDs. You don't have passwords that are
Yeah.
written into it. And so when customers are approached about, hey, can you help us understand about the level or information that is contained inside of the profile, we first start with the premise of, do those individuals have responsibility or need to know for billing information? How much did a resource cost? Where was that resource consumed? And what type of tags are being put on that resource? Because those tags could be enabled from a cost allocation perspective that are written into the cost and usage report. And so that's why we start there, that if the information is okay from a billing perspective, essentially any information that is available in Cost Explorer, that's a good barometer. If the users can be or have access to Cost Explorer, then having access to the core file should not be an issue.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, we've got 10 minutes left. Let's knock off a couple of other quirky bits about GovCloud.
Absolutely. First one of the quirky bits is functionality. Not all the same functions that you would be accustomed to on the commercial side are available in GovCloud. The reason for that is when a new service or a feature is brought to AWS, we have to go through a separate certification process before we can deploy that as an available resource or available option inside of GovCloud. Case in point of how that's going to affect you from a cloud financial management perspective would be Compute Optimizer. Historically, that Compute Optimizer only supported commercial regions. Now with the advent, it first is being made available now as of a couple months ago inside of GovCloud. So all of the options that you have for right sizing, those are going to be there. Compute Optimizer. There is one or two nuanced differences in terms of capabilities, but I would encourage you to go out to that user guide. It will walk you through. Again, we're trying to be quick hit with this, but that is a good advent that you have now with Compute Optimizer.
Nice. I got another. People are chatting today. People are chatting today. Sorry, Bryce. I love it. Keep it coming. Okay. Is there a standard ROI exchange and marketplace for GovCloud, like a liquidity pool where they can share that? Does that exist?
I don't know, and the reason why I don't know that answer is typically because in order to sell on a marketplace, you have to register as a seller. And for a lot of our governmental entities, they don't do that, or they can't do that because of federal regulations. And so we have not come across that yet with our federal customers as to how they would be able to buy and sell. Because this is on the commercial, well, I guess in GovCloud, again, this is the function of how would you actually sell your RI and how you would actually functionally do that. Again, you have to go into the EC console, go into reserved instances, select your options, and then sell through that mechanism. But because my federal customers have not had to cross that bridge, I don't have experience with that.
Fair. No worries. All right, let's keep going. What about storage? Any specifics around storage?
Yes. So one of I'm a big fanboy of S3. that is my bread and butter service. And unfortunately, within GovCloud, we don't have the full functionality yet for storage lanes. And so for a lot of our customers, this is where we actually go into the curve file in order to manage S3 spend. So there's a query that you can get available in the well-protected labs that we use very regularly with our customers. And we will go into the curve file and look at usage patterns, because what is written into the curve file is those list of API requests and what type of API requests, whether it's a get, a post, copy, and so forth. And so we can actually go into the curve file, run that query, and get some semblance of a replication of storage lanes capability.
Nice. I'm going to share the query in the section below because I'm trying to get it. So continue. Keep going.
No, absolutely. And one of the big capability releases that recently hit the platform in the last 6 months is you now have an EBS archiving option for your snapshots. So we have a lot of federal customers that have to keep snapshots for regulatory purposes, as well as linking all the way back to the beginning of the show, we talked about who would even be in GovCloud besides a federal entity. The answer is anyone who needs to service a federal entity or do business with the federal government. It has to also meet those high bars of regulatory frameworks like FedRAMP and NIST and so forth. And those individuals will also need to keep around snapshots for a very long time. And now, because you have an archiving option, which provides you a immutable storage object that you can keep around at a cheaper rate, that was a big advantage for a lot of our customers now who can take advantage of archiving whereas before they were just having to pay the snapshot fee
right.
to keep the storage around.
Nice. Okay, cool. Covered some good storage notes. Rob has just asked, ooh, can you set up CI/CD/kudos inside GovCloud if you port the curve back over to GovCloud? I guess that I would even ask, like, do you necessarily need to do that if your cur is already in a payer? Could you just, yeah, you don't need. I would assume that you don't need to, Rob. But yeah, Bryce.
And the reason why we would not do that from a cloud financial management perspective is GovCloud is typically more expensive for the same, pound for pound service deliverable. And because we're deploying QuickSight, because we're deploying other storage for S3 for your cur file, we would do all that on the commercial side and then deploy the Kudos CID dashboards there inside the commercial perspective.
Yeah, I agree. That makes more sense. Otherwise, you're just bouncing around multiple places. If the data is already in the centralized care, check out the care. Awesome. All right. Last 2 minutes. Anything else you want to highlight about GovCloud? Any nuances or tips for people to get started or information they need to know?
I would say don't be afraid of GovCloud. A lot of what we talked about today is like, oh my gosh, what did we just get into? GovCloud is a phenomenal service for individuals that need to meet those options and regulatory options, right? It allows you to have your cake and eat it too. You can be in the cloud as well as take advantage of additional constructs from a controls perspective. With that being said, there's also a link, and Steph, I don't know if we posted it yet, but there is a link that walks through all of the differences between commercial side and GovCloud in terms of services that are offered and nuances of those services in terms of functionality of what's available or not.
Right now. Wait, Alexa. Someone's got delivery.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know what? Fun. Guys, there's the link, which is very, that's probably, we hadn't posted that yet, so thank you for calling that out. It's probably the handiest link. If you are worried about GovCloud, go and check out what there is available. Fun reminder of I don't know what season, but one of the few times I've been interrupted by the show was when I had delivery, and it was me and you, Bryce. I don't remember what we were talking about, but you could hear my doorbell ringing, and I was just like, oh, well, I'm not getting that parcel.
No, I'm sure it's my wife orders them for the kids. So it could be, goggles to go swimming. Who knows?
I love it. Awesome. All right. Okay. We'll finish there. Thank you so much, Bryce. I feel like I've learned a lot now. If anyone asks me any GovCloud questions, I will be prepared. Next week, as a reminder, I'm FinOpsX. If you see this hat, come say hi, grab a sticker off me, have a chat, and tell me if you have an idea for the show. If you want to come on the show, come let me know. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to email us at costoptimization@amazon.com. Next week, John is back, and he is going to be talking with Adam from our team all about data transfer optimization, which I know is a hot topic. So hopefully you will stick around to see that. And if not, we will see you guys next time.